So hey, oh god, did you hear that? I hope you don't mind. It's really hot, so I left the windows open, and unfortunately, it's not as muffled as it usually is. So I apologize for that. But also, my little Bubba, he's hot, and I don't want him to suffer, you know, because I need to make a recording. You're doing that foo-foo stuff, and I'm here dying in heat. Foo-foo stuff. That's literally how a lot of people regarded anything I was into. And last time I jumped forward a little to a little bit, but I want to go back to that Callejón Ocampo Alley, because it was a very important period in my life. It was a period where I discovered many things. I discovered I could fight. I discovered I could stand my ground. I discovered, feelings about boys and girls. I discovered, that I really liked playing with girls and everything they did. Just being around them was really cool. Which leads me to, and it was also where I got molested, So there's many things that happened in that block. What I was gonna say or bring out, who I was gonna bring up was my aunt Pillar. That's basically the name, and because everybody is named after saints and or something religious, something spiritual. She's a pillar of light, and she kind of was in my life. I don't know if I mentioned that I did get the sense that, I mean, now looking back, of course, I did get the sense that everybody was kind of in on it. They saw me as a sissy. They saw me as someone who was too gentle, so it must be a sissy. Not man enough or whatever, so let's make this guy rough and tough. And everybody was in on it. And everybody treated me with, it was, now looking back again, it's like, wow, it was pretty obvious. And I didn't see it back then. I just saw it as, oh, okay, so you don't like me? Okay, I'll make you like me. I'll just do whatever you say. Bring a smile to your face, because I am a people pleaser. And that's basically, I didn't say that I'm a people pleaser, obviously, but that was basically what I was practicing. Then I realized that basically being good is not being nice is not you trying to be a people pleaser. It's just that you have goodness within you, and that's a good thing. Be glad that you're nice, that you find the room to be nice, even when you don't feel like it. And and partly the reason why you do that, you do it for other people, that it's like, well, it's not your fault that I'm pissed off, so in fact, maybe you're a reason that I could get happier, just having a conversation with you, so I'm not so pissed off. I'm not thinking about being pissed off, I can distract myself, so when you're what's the word, dwelling in higher places, consciously, you see the world that way. That's why I never understood, like narcissistic people, how so, well, this is the way I am, you're gonna have to put up with me, because you love me. And if you stop loving me, then you're a bad person, because I have problems. That's how they basically manipulate you, by hitting those nerves. That is that you're supposed to be a nice person, so show it, and you end up putting up with more than you should. You know how it is, you empaths. So again, I find out because I lose a lot of subscriptions this way, but that's a good thing because you kind of get rid of the bad energy, you just keep the people that basically you're supposed to click with, and when I mention these, when I bring up these subjects of the LGBTQ community, that happens. All of a sudden my subscriptions drop, and it's like, but that's cool because I want to keep those people who are kin, or, kin to this kind of stuff. They find meaning, they find resonance, they find they can relate. And all I'm saying is, because it's not like I'm advocating for, oh, go ahead, turn gay because your life would be so much better. And again, I don't even know if I am, but because I am the carrier of every feminine energy, I was made to believe that I was. And well, I don't know, maybe, I mean, because see, there's so many complications when you're trying to just measure it or explain it in terrestrial terms. But since we're all spirits and everything boils down to spirit, I'm just doing what my spirit tells me to do. Because a long time ago, I realized that that's the way to go. It's the way of non-resistance. It's the easy way, which is the stronger way, the more efficient way. Its efficacy is one that I cannot even explain. When something, a manifestation, for instance, comes about, you're like, holy moly. You made all that happen. There is absolutely no way in hell that I would actually come up with a plan like that. But once you see it done, you start realizing all of the things that came together. It was like, holy macaroni, you are so freaking smart. So it's better to just kind of commend yourself to spirit, honestly. And it doesn't require bravery, because when you have explored all the ways, you're like, okay, well, I guess I've just been chasing my own tail, really. So I just, for a long time, I just been listening to what my spirit says, it, and sensing my way like a bat or like a dolphin, or like, it's with these vibrations. Okay, that's not good. Okay, this is good. Okay, and just navigating, without the extra stress. So I gotta get this way. I gotta get this right. No, 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 no. It's just, I'm just, it's lately, I I had to become like a log and a river. Just let myself be taken. Again, you just let the waves take me into deep ocean and see what happens. And I'm telling you that that is what requires bravery, to follow your spirit. Because once you follow your spirit, first of all, there's uncertainty, because if you're not reading the signs, or if you're not understanding the signs, is very scary. Yeah, but even with the signs, and when you know that they're there to help you and aid you and guide you, you still have your doubts. It's like, what if I'm just kidding myself, But it's like, no, no, forget it. I mean, you've gone this far, and God's never let you down. Mm-mm. I hope you can see. God has never let me down. So when I tell you guys to trust, I mean it, because I've been there. That's the scary part, right? Because what if I let go of this way of thinking, I mean, this is what I was raised on. Is, yeah, but look at the people who raise you. Look what they're doing and how they're doing. You want to do the same, be the same, end up in the same, have the same fate as them. No, because it is obvious that it is not about staying still or retaining traditions and just holding them and keeping them going and going forever and ever. Some of these traditions could be toxic. Some of these traditions could actually hold you back, hold your whole family back, your whole, what do they call it, bloodline back. Because we're all trying to progress, we're all trying to transgress or transform, go on to the next level. And there's certain things that need to be shed away. This is why I'm doing this whole storytelling thing of my life, because I need to get it all out. And not only that, because there's a lot of people out there who can relate. A lot of people who are probably debating on these matters, and I could just make it easy for them. I could be like a leaf or like a feather falling onto a rock that has been sitting on the cliff, ready to jump, ready for adventure, and it's just a little tip of a feather's touch, and that rock finally gets liberated from the confines of being stuck. I hope that some of these episodes, sessions, that somebody commented yesterday, called it. I'm so happy that there's so much good response. That there's people who actually who can relate, and again, just like love is like seeping water, it just will continue to just keep growing and growing and growing and growing, because it's nonstop, it's consistent, it's insistent, it's resilient and relentless. Once it gets on you, it's on you. So going back to my story, going back to Ocampo Alley, it's where I learned a lot of things, and it would have been a lot harder without my Aunt Pili. That's how we all call her. Pilar, Pili, Maria del Pilar. And she was, again, a ray of light, a ray of sunshine in my life, and literally in a world that was just too bleak and dark. I mean, it was fun. Like I said, this is where I got my gang, and I was part of a Sandlot type of crew. We were all a bunch of little boys the same age, and riding around in bicycles. Summers were amazing. For those 2 or 3 years that I lived in that neighborhood, was the best part of my life, my childhood. I'm sorry, the best part of my childhood. Yes. And like I said, I learned a lot of things. And without my Aunt Pili, I would have been even more confused. I think she took pity on me and realized that, this kid doesn't need to be stopped from who he is. He needs to be shown, what he could do with who he is. So she started me into the teenage bands that were going at the time, and that was the first time I went to a concert, is because we both had to beg her, my mom, to let me go. This woman, I swear, to let go of her son was just such a hard task. You have to literally be there drilling on the subject for days, and then you got to get some friends on the matter as well, to convince her. So please let him go. It's something that will expand him, something good for him. So my first concert was a Timbiriche concert. If you grew up in Mexico in the 80s, you know what that band is. At that time, that's when I got the entertainment bug, because a couple of years back, they were in they came out when another band from Spain called Parchís. They were all named after board games, by the way. And Parchís was great in Europe, came to Mexico, but Timbiriche was there. They were the answer to Parchís, right? So I got really into both, but the ones who were in Mexico, I got to hear a lot, and Timbiriche was it. But then the thing happened. They decided to get that band Timbiriche, and it was a bunch of kids my age, and they're on TV. And before that, I had seen another contest that it was called Let's Play Singer. Basically, that's what it translated to. Juguemos a cantar. It was all these kids my age singing on stage. Well, I was a kid who really loved the arts. I was picked to be Tino, the kid, we ended up doing a choreography, in kindergarten, and they picked me. Said, "You're gonna be Tino," which was the the leader of the band Parchis, and we did the choreography, and everybody bought it. I was Tino. So I was already artistically inclined, but the family that I grew up with was part of it was not. See, the cool thing that was my father was a musician, so he kind of got that a little bit, the need to express and being musical basically. He liked that the fact that I was dancing to music, but again, he's dancing to music. so anywho, I went to see. I got the entertainment bug, and then they got that band Timbiriche a couple of years later, or around right about that time, because they were Televisa, which is the TV network back in Mexico, realized that there's a lot of demand for seeing kids perform. So all these kid shows started popping up everywhere, chiquilladas, where there were all these kids doing skits, and they were all kids around my age. So when they did a musical about Greece, but in Spanish called Vaselina, and they got the Timbiriche kids to be in the play. So it was Timbiriche with Vaselina. And that's when, Summer Loving, that's the first time I heard Summer Loving. That's the first time I saw the fashion of the 1950s and the music and things like that. I was like, I saw one, and I had this huge crush on Lolita Cortez. My God, she was gorgeous and talented. Still, I mean, back in those days, she was like a big old earthquake. She just make everybody succumb to her beauty and her talent. She was the judge of the La Academia. Again, if you were Latino and Mexican, you've seen La Academia. I have an experience with La Academia, but I'll tell you about that later forward in the story. I don't want to get sidetracked again, because again, I'm talking about my Aunt Pili, who again, because of her, I was exposed to these things. I started to, to not just see them on television. I started to dress like them, because my Aunt Pili was helping me out. And one time, because my Aunt Pili was like, I don't care what your dad says. So, okay, well, come over here. Let me do your hair. And she gave me a half perm. So basically, it was just the front up here, the crown, right? So when I got home and I had curls, basically, I don't know, but later on, it became wavy when you would comb it back, and I ended up picking a suit over the usual white getup, for my first communion. I ended up getting a gray suit with all the trimmings, even the vest, so it was really cool. And then with those curls, it made my hair really cool and wavy, and I felt like Andres Garcia. So Andres Garcia, very famous, Dominican actor, who was just gorgeous. See, I can say that now. Just gorgeous, that man. Oh, the kind of guy that has that look like. Frankly, the eyes, frankly, my dear, it's just the kind of looks that make you go. Basically, like. Seriously. Anyway, but yeah, my hair looked like that, and during my first communion, and it was because my Aunt Billy. But going back a little bit, when I showed up at home with my curls, I got yelled at. My mom was pissed, because obviously, like I said, they were all trying to stop me from being anything but boyish, I guess. is that you're not gonna, like my mom used to tell me sometimes, no me vengas con tus cosas, which just meant don't give me those things, don't bring me that stuff, like basically keep it to yourself, or don't ever do that again. It was that kind of idea. So my aunt Pili was actually it was like a floaty in the middle of the ocean. As lost as I was, she carried me through those very important formative years. So she helped me with my fashion. She helped me with being more uh, culture savvy, I guess. I was hanging out with her friends, so they were older. She was 14, so, and I was just barely 10, so I was hanging out with a lot of older kids, and these kids didn't make fun of me. In fact, the girls were like, "Oh, you're my boyfriend now." They would say things like that. "Oh, you're so cute," and they would grab me by the cheeks and be like, "You're my boyfriend now." Like I felt this acceptance, this welcoming. Like, oh my God, they were seeing me for, I guess, for who I was, or maybe who I like how they saw me, as opposed to how other people acted, like, how they saw me. So it was really cool having my aunt Pili around again. I got really into fashion, into music, and the '80s were awesome because of her. You know, you see the pastels. You see when because she was a debutante. She was a daughter of the most important families in our town. She's like, "I need a cocktail dress," and I was like, "What's a cocktail dress?" And until I saw one on her, then I found that, oh, that's pretty nice. I can't explain it, but I guess it's what they call it, sequins. It was just up to here, strapless and backless. I think, yeah, maybe backless. No, not backless, but it shows the back of your upper back, basically. Her hair was so cool and 80s. um, and it ended in this fluffy thing. What is it, tulle, whatever you call it, this fluffy things, layers. I'm into fashion, but I'm not that into fashion. I mean, like, I don't know some certain terms. But anyway, that was really cool. Being in that neighborhood that where I discovered many 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 things. So essentially, I look back to that period a lot because that's where a lot of things happened. And like I said, that's where I get the sense where that everybody was kind of treating me with chopsticks, with with a sense of distance. Uh, oh, a lot of the times they implied, you know, like I told you, like my aunt Pili, I'm sorry, my other aunt, the one who was a lesbian and never admitted it to herself. I mean, it was pretty obvious. This poor guy was just chasing her for years, and this lady died, and they never married. He was basically somebody who was in an eternal um, cycle of courtship, just for years. I'm talking decades. She never married the guy. And again, it's when you don't respond to the calls of your soul, when you're not being authentic, well, you're gonna suffer the consequences. Your body starts to let you know. The amazing thing is that because there's such a harmful feelings and thoughts and idea, basically based, rooted from your ideas, it does damage to the human body. Sounded like Christopher Walken. Some damage, to the human body. Yeah, it hacks away at your nervous system. Your brain becomes basically it's rotten. It's full of holes, and every cell starts to, because they're all infected, and they're just carrying it to the next body part, and it's all spreading, and it's all to let you know, stop. Stop thinking that way. Stop having those thoughts, those ideas. Stop holding on to those beliefs, because we're getting sicker. So all this decay that happens, we're getting older, it is not because you're getting older. Some of it, but it is wear and tear. And some of it is a lot faster on some people than others. Or basically, some people move faster with the damage because they won't let go of those habits, those hateful habits. I mean, right now we're seeing what happens to people who hate a lot. We see how they decay, they wear out quickly, and pretty soon they start making no sense. Just look at what's happening in the United States with, who, the Orange Walrus, as I call it. I call him the Orange Walrus because he's duping a bunch of clams into following him, and then eventually he's just gonna devour every single one of them. Look at what's happening. He is currently doing it. He has lied to a bunch of people into following him so he could eventually absorb everything they are, their money, for instance. Their whole existence he has become. Yeah, so I call him the walrus because of that. People don't get me when they say he's the orange walrus. Just look up Alice in Wonderland. Check it out. So, again, my purpose here with these videos are not to emphasize a particular ideology. And my suggestion has always been to search your feelings. Go with what you're being prompted, because there's no outside help. And for me to pretend that I could actually guide you, I mean, these things, these conversations that I'm having with you are literally just to expose you to other things, so like I said, like a feather tapping a rock, on a cliff, just ready to jump. It just needs that little tiny momentum, a little tiny bit of help. I could be it, probably, but in terms of saying that what they're saying is that do what I'm saying, do what I do. No. Always search your feelings, because that's where the truth is. That's the location of your spirit. So that's where you should be directing all your queries towards too. Yeah, because that's where the answers are. And because remember how I told you that, or what I told you, that God put a piece of itself within you. That's how God sees everything. So whenever you're like, oh, okay, the cups are not around, and you go ahead and do it, and then afterwards you feel bad, guess what? It's because that saw it. Your true nature saw it. Your spirit saw it. So again, there ain't no weighing this stuff out. You either follow your spirit or you suffer the consequences, because this is why we're all so lost, because we have been encouraged to stay away from that. In fact, they don't even bring it up. In fact, if you bring it up, sacrilegious, he's talking to the devil, and all that other the old stuff begins, But it's about time. I mean, we didn't come this far, to continue doing the same things. I mean, at a certain point, we need to get a move on, until we're all one, until we all become one. That's the idea. Funny, because I just found out it's this clip that came on YouTube. They were explaining the meaning of the magician, the archetype of the magician, and that the magician shows you the way to the Father, basically, so we can all become one again. And guess what? If you look up my numerology, I am the number one. I end up with the number one, which is the magician and the tarot. See, the things you find out if you just follow your spirit. I encourage you to go look at the video. Maybe I'll put it in the at the end of this. Um, how I got introduced into tarot. I It was through dreams, literally seeing images in my dreams that later on I saw in tarot cards, and I was like, "That's my dream." That's what I'm saying. Follow the symbols, follow the signs, because our brains work with symbology. It just gets it. It absorbs the picture. Something happens in there. I can't explain it, and all of a sudden you get meanings. You get a whole like paragraphs of information about it. But it's all like this internal voice that you get, or this internal, dialogue, or this internal, computer screen that is just going by, and you're seeing all these concepts. You're like, wow. But people have demonized imagination. Oh, you're seeing stuff in your mind? Oh, that's crazy. When maybe it's because we're all channelers. We can do that. You reach a certain level of high vibration, and all of a sudden you start receiving messages. Wouldn't you do that? I mean, isn't that what you do? If you want to get a better signal, you get to a higher higher elevation. Yeah, and then you get signals like a mother. That's what I'm saying. But you have to follow what your spirit is telling you. Don't just say, I gotta get to the penthouse because Pancho says so. No, it's because that's what your spirit wants. And I'm gonna say that much. You just do what your spirit calls you. And like I said, it's never gonna be violent or evil. It's always full of light, always full of love. It's a benevolent force. Because that's what makes the whole universe go. It is the universe itself. It is the makeup of this existence. It is in the particles. It is the particles. It's all beautiful. It's always reflecting back. This whole matrix thing is, I say beautiful because it gives you a glimpse and makes you break it down and makes you go, okay. I think I'm starting to get it. Yeah. It's happening. It was an illusion that we were under. It was just do it our way because we say, and that's what's gonna get you results. And all it did is just left you exhausted and confused. When the answer was always in here. Think about it and feel about it. I almost dropped my incense. These things, indestructible. I dropped this so many times. It's crazy because it's still alive and whole, so yeah, I definitely recommend it. Anywho, I just covered a few things of my story in this one, but I think that's just because I want to give you something, right? And I think I've been doing it in every single episode because I just don't want it to be my story, because, and hopefully you'll find some benefit, and you will because you will be able to relate. But I think, and I'm also been dropping in some bits of information and things like that, so it can. It's not just about it's not just a biography, It's telling you why I am the way I am. All right, talk to you in the next one.